Hi, welcome to the Lisa Saunders Show. I am Lisa Saunders, and I'm really excited the guest I have today. Because I am an author, I'm constantly working on how to sell my books. Some of my books are published by traditional publishers like Heritage Books Press, Unlimited Publishing, and others I've self-published because I find that sometimes it's easier to sell books. And I have the guru of how to sell your books. Brian Judd, thank you so much for coming on this show.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me.
I can't believe I get to meet you live and in person because I've read your work on CreateSpace on Amazon. When I've self-published some of my books, they have a nice marketing newsletter, how to market these books once you publish them. And that was there's your name. And we have you right here in Connecticut.
Well, I live in Connecticut. This is great.
So you do a lot of things to help authors sell their books. I mean, you started an organization in Connecticut. What's that called?
The Connecticut Authors and Publishers Association.
Yes, and I belong to the Southeastern chapter.
We have five groups around the state.
Oh, you do have five groups. What are they called?
Well, there's Southeast, and Southwest in Shelton. There's the Northeast in Mansfield, the Avon group, and there's the networking group in Wethersfield.
Oh, okay, because I get different emails from you because I'm on your newsletter list where you have great topics in your newsletter on little tips. Sometimes I have time to read it, sometimes I don't, but I always come away with some little nugget because you're also publishing other people's comments, what's worked for them.
I do, yeah. I try not to have it just what I'm saying, but I have the experts in their different areas for cover design, for distribution. So those people are telling my audience about the best ways to do their expertise.
I want to make sure before we end the show that you tell people how they can get your newsletter.
Sure.
Because like I said, I've gotten great ideas. I've also gotten great ideas on the next book I should be publishing. Because now I'm starting to learn it's not just saying what you want, it's saying what'll sell books. So I try to match what I want to say with how I can market it. So
sure, that's a big point.
how did you get interested in doing what you do, and how do you do it? And how did CreateSpace and Amazon know? I just want to know everything. But anyway, go ahead and talk about what you want to talk about.
Well, sure. I started out, I was in the corporate world for about 20 years and was laid off and decided I wanted to do something different. And I had two boys about to graduate from college, twin boys, and so I started writing a book to help them get a job and move out of the house. And this is back in the early 90s, so when the unemployment was high. And it worked. They got jobs and moved out. So I started writing a book about that, and it sold very well. And then
it was a book, How to Get a Job?
It was Job Search 101.
Okay.
How to get a job.
All right.
And I thought you sell through bookstores. So that's what I started doing, selling through bookstores. I found out about returnable books, about distribution discounts, getting paid in 120 days. I thought there's got to be a better way.
Right.
And a really important point, Lisa, is I thought, who else can use the information in my book? It's about how to get a job. And so I tried to find out where these groups of these people are. So I thought college students was a big target. State governments, because the people in bookstores I was trying to sell to the unemployed. They were unemployed and didn't have money to spend for a book. So the state governments gave them programs and books, and as did libraries. So I sold to these people, and that's really the key. That's why I started, to answer your first question about how I got started in non-bookstore marketing, by finding more profitable ways to sell in large quantities. So that was my objective. And
I've definitely learned that the hard way, that bookstores is not where you are generally going to sell your book, unless you're extremely famous. Now, I've been trying to get Thin and Famous for years, and that hasn't worked. So now I'm focusing more attention on how to find the people that actually care what I have to say. And for me personally, I found it's through giving talks and workshops. I loved your program. You gave a talk on it at one of the CAPA meetings, and you just gave more details of different organizations that will buy your book. They'll just buy it from you, and so because they want to give it to their clients or prospective students. Or what kind of stories do you have on that?
That's what I did for the state governments. Their objective was to get information to their their citizens, so they go out and get a job and they get off the unemployment rolls. So I contacted the state governments and I took chapters out of my Job Search 101 and created booklets on resumes and cover letters and interviewing, on telephone skills. And the states bought these.
Do they buy them in the booklet form, or
Yeah.
is the whole book form?
They bought it, well, both in the sense, but I did it two different ways. One was in the booklets, and then the states would buy those and give them. For Connecticut, when people sign up for the unemployment benefits, they got a stack of a bundle of my booklets. Plus, I did a video, The Art of Interviewing, about how to interview, of eye communication, and gestures, and posture. And so people had to watch that before they got their unemployment benefits. So that was the booklet format.
How did you get in touch? I mean, how did you know how to reach them? You know, reach the right person.
That's a good question, because this is all before the internet. I
Yeah.
had to go out and make phone calls and buy directories, and that's how I did it. There were several directories that I purchased that had a lot of information for state governments, and I was actually doing a lot of presentations for the state of Connecticut, and they had these unemployment seminars around the country, around the state, and I would be a speaker for those. So I learned a lot about from the state. And once I learned how to do it in Connecticut, then I just took this concept and took it to different states and did it.
Okay.
Well, for example, the point about the booklets that you brought up is really important, because the information, the form is a variable. The information is what you're trying to get across. So now it could be ebook, it could be a booklet, and some states, they love the Job Search 101, but they ran a lot of workshops. They wouldn't buy it, because if you try to lay a perfect bound book flat, it comes back up upon itself.
Right.
So I took it to Staples and cut off the binding and put a wire binding on it. Took it back to the state, and this one state loved it. They put a standing order in for 8,000 books a quarter because I just put that wire binding on it. So I took that same concept to other states, and they bought the book in those quantities also. So I could print 50 or 100,000 books at a time and send them out to different states, all in this with this wire binding on it. I do that every quarter, because I knew they had that blanket order for every quarter. I knew where the ship date would be and the date I would get paid, and had those all laid out. So I worked with the printer, and since I was dealing with state governments, they gave me really good terms. So I could ship and then pay the printer. And
wow.
so
you really figured out how to do it. Now, was this a self-published book?
My first one was, yes, it was. Well, it's different terminology, Lisa. Back then, it was called self-publishing. But that's when I, as a general contractor, would find the cover designer, the editor, the printer, the distributor, and put the package together. Now, self-publishing is more the print-on-demand, so that's taken over that terminology. But back then, it was, I guess, more or less what independent publishing is now. But I did that as the general contractor for my book.
So people are calling it independent publishing now? Is that a better word?
Yeah, but that's also a little bit different, a little bit more muddy, in the sense that small publishers and I did publishing for a while, and then so a small publisher who takes on a few authors in a particular genre, that's more or less independent publishing now. So somebody could start their own publishing company, which I did. Because people would say, "Who's your publisher?" And I said, "I published it myself." And they didn't like that, so I started my own company. They would say, "Who's your publisher?" "Oh, Marketing Directions is my publisher." And no one ever asked me if that was my company.
Right.
So, but it gave me a little more credibility, because I was published by someone else.
Right, and my publishing company is actually called Saunders Books, and for some reason, I guess I feel embarrassed to say, "Well, Saunders Books," because they're going to know it's me.
That's why I chose a different name, so
right.
It wouldn't be Judd Publishing.
Right. Well, that was a good idea. Now you have another book. Tell us about this book.
I do. This is actually the result of the 15 years of doing this all myself. I started teaching others how to do it.
So hold it up
and
to
wrote
your
a
camera.
book called Beyond the Bookstore. And that was the first book in this genre. And this, How to Make Real Money Selling Books, is the sequel to that, which is more how to find the buyers in non-bookstore areas, and how to sell to them, how to negotiate sales, how to make presentations.
Oh,
so
that
this is a little bit different than Beyond the Bookstore.
Oh, that's very valuable information.
It is. I've had a lot of good comments on that, because it's so many books are about how to get into bookstores and how to sell through bookstores, how to get publicity, which are good techniques if that's what you want. But if you're looking to sell large quantity, non-returnable, then you want to look for the non-bookstore places in which to sell books.
Right. Like I finally figured that out with my children's novel, Ride a Horse, Not an Elevator. Being an alum of Cornell University, I contacted them. "Oh yeah, we'll buy several. We'll use it for the state of New York for their 4-H programs." And I was like, "Gee, this is the way to go." And then another university bought it for the same reason. And it's so funny because it's called Ride a Horse on an Elevator. You think it's about a girl who loves horses. Well, I'm terrified of them.
That's interesting.
And it's all about that. And I was invited by Cornell to speak to their whole state. And I thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to talk to these serious horse people that love horses? And I still would rather just look at them from afar. But I ended up figuring out a way, and they didn't care. They just had fun and laughed.
That's good. That's an important thing.
But it's certainly, it's more overcoming fear. And that's what 4-H is about, overcoming fear and learning how to take care of. So anyway, they figured out the spin. But anyway, that's why I actually went with your program, because I learned that to be the case. Now tell us about the program that I just signed up for.
Sure. We have a program. There are about 65,000 sales representatives out across the country that sell promotional products to corporations, associations, schools. They'll sell coffee mugs and Sharpies and hats and glassware. So what we do is put books in a catalog they use to sell. Now they have books to sell to these corporate buyers, and they'll use these books as a premium, an association might use it to help build membership. If people join or they renew their membership, they get a free copy of a book as a thank you. So these sales reps are putting these programs together. So we get books in a catalog and a search engine that is accessible by these people. So now they have a totally new product line to sell, and they love the idea.
Yeah, and then, if the person's independently published, would you get a person saying, yeah, we'd like to buy this book, we want our information on the back cover? Do you get
the corporations will, if they're going to, we have a dog food manufacturer that wanted to sell 20-pound bags of dog food. That was their objective. And so we had a book on dog care. And so they put a coupon in this 20-pound bag for a free, you buy this, you get a free copy of this book. So but to do that, they want to make sure they got some publicity. So we had to put their logo on the cover. And if you have
and this is what you can do as an independently published person.
Sure. If you have a book on that topic, you can find out these people. We can do it for you. That's our program, as you alluded to.
Right.
But we can do that for you, or that people who have the time, the inclination, can do it
Right. Like
themselves.
I said, I don't have the time anymore to try to do it myself, so that's why I wanted you guys to try it. So I just thought it was an interesting concept. And
nobody else is doing it, so we thought we'd
right.
try it.
Yeah, no, that's great. You're constantly thinking of ways to sell books. And like I said, your articles are in CreateSpace.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm a consultant to them, and they asked me to build up their repertoire of articles on marketing, book marketing for their website. And I did that with different marketing plans and different examples, but particularly the non-bookstore area. I have most of the content in there for marketing on their site.
What are other ways that you think authors could be selling books, aside from going to an organization? Do you have any? Because authors write so many things. I mean, it's like, I know it's a hard question to answer because it depends if it's fiction, nonfiction, or what do you think?
I have answers for all those. Actually.
Okay, go. Just talk, because everybody, a lot of I'm going to be telling this show. Yes, it airs on regular TV, but I also have a YouTube channel. I'm going to put your show on my YouTube channel and link it to authors that read my tips. And now I'd love to hear your tips.
Okay, well, let's start off with fiction. A lot of people say you can't sell fiction to corporate buyers. You can. We have a program for romance novels, for example. We're organizing a program with 800 flowers on Valentine's Day. So that you buy a larger bouquet of flowers, you get a choice of romance novels with it. With a chocolate company on Valentine's Day, you buy a larger box of chocolate, you get a free romance novel with it. Victoria's Secret, you buy a certain amount of lingerie, you get a free romance novel.
Oh,
clever. That's a way to do it. We have a program which we're working with. We have one client of ours has a book about whitewater rafting in Idaho. And there are kayaks and rafts and canoes mentioned in this book. So we go to the manufacturers of those products. They buy this book, and give it to the Dick's Sporting Goods, the Sports Authority. And so if you like our book,
give it to them?
Well, they would give it. Yes, in this case, they are giving it to them, because when people come into Dick's Sporting Goods and they say, well, I like these nice canoes. I said, well, you buy this canoe, you get a free copy of a book with it. Or you buy this kayak. So the companies use this as an advertising tool, as a promotional tool. So it's part of their ad budget. They may sell it to Dick's, but Dick's is probably not going to buy it to give it away. But if they get it free, then they're more likely to give it away. But this happened in Idaho. So we went to the airport stores in Idaho, and they put this on the shelves. We went to the companies that put these.
How do you get the airport? Because when I go to the airport, I only see really the best sellers of famous writers with major publishing houses. And I will always buy a book because even though I have 100 other things I should be reading, I want something I wouldn't normally read. And to me, that would be a great idea. I mean, that would just be great to get into a bookstore. How do you get that into a bookstore?
Well, it's the same. You can go through Ingram or Hudson Books, you find a distributor for the airport bookstore. But I recommend not doing that, in the sense that they have what's called pay to play, where you have to pay to have your book face out or a certain position in the store. Where if you go to the other stores on the concourse and get them to carry your book.
Oh, not the bookstore.
Not the bookstore.
Oh.
Because they don't have the pay to play, it may not be returnable, and you can still use Ingram and Hudson to reach these people as distributors. I was in Minneapolis airport recently, and it's like a shopping center, a shopping mall.
Right.
You get on the concourse and just stores all over. I was at the Louisville airport. They had a golf pro shop there. They had a Louisville Slugger store. So if you have a book on baseball, go to the Louisville Slugger store. Don't go to the airport bookstore where you're competing against 5,000 other books. So the idea is to go to the non-bookstore, non-airport stores that are not bookstores.
Well, my books, all of them, sell much better in stores that aren't bookstores.
Yeah, it's more profitable. Anything retail is returnable, but you'll have that. But my point is that that's a great way to sell fiction. But on nonfiction, it's the sky's the limit in the sense we work with companies. We work with a company that wanted to create an awareness of healthy lifestyle among its employees. They wanted to increase productivity and reduce absenteeism. That was their objective. So we had a book on walking. And these salespeople have such a wide variety of products that we went to this company, and they had 10,000 employees. So month 1, each employee got a book on walking. Month 2, each employee got a pedometer. Month 3, a journal to keep track of their exercise program. And they hired the author of the walking book to fly around the country and talk to all their different locations about the benefits of a healthy lifestyle.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So that's an example. I take this whole, not just selling books. The key to this, Lisa, is that you're not selling books, that you're solving their problems.
Right.
And what you want to do is go there and find what problems do you have, and they can. That's how we found out about this. And so we came back to them. But here's a program that, using a book and other products, that will help your employees. And that's what they bought. They bought that program.
Right.
Because we helped them solve their problem. We didn't help them buy our books.
Right. Now, that's just a good point, because I write press releases, and I give talks on that, how to write a press release.
Oh, sure.
People need to remember that you need to solve a reader's problem. So it's the same thing with writing a press release, and clearly the same thing when selling a book.
Oh,
Here's a great book. It's no, this book will help you learn or help you solve whatever problem.
Sure.
It's just
lose weight, gain money, feed your dog, whatever that may be, whatever you want to do.
Right.
This book can help you do that, because people will buy books for different reasons, which is the reason for buying or creating a press release that's different for different markets, because retailers don't care about your book. They want store traffic, inventory turns, and profit per square foot. Whichever product gives the best return, they'll put that on the shelf.
Right.
So the old librarians don't care about that. I actually did one, this is a promotion to libraries that went very well, that the headline was, "This book is 2 years overdue." It should have been out 2 years ago.
So that was a great headline for a press release.
But that wouldn't work in a store, but it does work for libraries. That's my point, that you write your press release for each different segment.
Right.
And I did a program, I thought, who wants a college student to get a job more than the student does? The parents. So I went to American Student List Company, got a list of the parents of graduating college seniors, and sent them a direct mail program with 2 books and a video. And they bought tens of thousands of these because they had the money, they had the desire to get the kids out of the house. And so there's a totally separate headline and campaign directed to the parents.
Right.
So that's when I first started out talking before about organizing your targets in different groups. That way you can reach them with the publicity that's directed to their needs. Because if you've been trying to get on a TV show such as yours, and people don't, they want to know what your audience would be interested in. So that's what the headline is about. And it's not about, I'm the author of a great book.
Right.
So what? What's my audience care about it? So the more that you can direct your selling, even when you're calling people, in most cases, you'll get a voicemail, opportunity for a voicemail message. You've got to have a good 15-second voicemail message. Otherwise, as I get 2-minute, 3-minute voicemail messages of people going on about whatever, and I just fast forward through those. So you have to give people a reason to call you back. You can't say, please buy my book, I have to make my house payment this month. But if you can say, I've got an idea that solves problems for companies like yours, and if I can get 5 minutes of your time, I'll see if I can help you too. That type of a response can get a return call. So
that's a very good point to make.
Yeah, but that's, well, as you know very much from writing press releases, that's your objective of getting the people from the headline into the copy.
Right, no, because I get a lot of emails, oh, I just wrote a new book, see my new book, and I think, oh no, they're not solving my problem.
Exactly right.
But I know if you don't know better, you don't know what to say.
Well, I get press releases and literature sent to me daily. I'm proud to announce the publishing of my new book. Well, so what? Which is the reason I brought that up is that sequence. It's so what? I wrote a cookbook. So what? It's got lots of great recipes. So what? The binding is a 3-ring binder and it lays flat, so the cook can prepare a great meal, then go out and enjoy himself with the guests. Oh, now I understand.
Right, because
so
it's a
you give me some
3-ring,
reason to why your book is different and better. So the more you keep saying so what until you get to the, oh, now I understand.
Right.
And that's what goes into your publicity or into your sales pitch. And I hate the word pitch because that makes it sound like it's just a regular
but reality
event.
is you have to learn how to say it in as few words as possible.
Exactly right.
And I'm guilty of not being able to do that about my own books. It's easier for me to promote other people's books because I can see what it's about. But when somebody asks me what my book's about, gee, it took me 10 years to write it. How can I, answer this in 15 seconds? But that's very important.
Yeah.
Every author has to be able to answer it quickly.
I remember 2 things about that. One is the slogan, tell me quick and tell me true, or else, my friend, the heck with you. And to do that, you follow the copywriter's formula, AIDA, attention, interest, desire, and action. The attention is that headline. The interest is the 5 W's, who, what, where, when, why, the first paragraph. And there may be some bullet points to increase that desire. And the action step is, I'll call you next Thursday to follow up. You never say, I'm looking forward to hearing from you, or something like that. You take that action step on your own. So, well, you know this formula just for writing press releases, but for your audience, I think
No, but it's just good to
gives them those
remember
steps.
what they, right. It's
And
good
that's
to
what
remember.
that addresses your comment about that. If you have those steps, and that it's attention, interest, desire, and action. You can do that in 4 paragraphs or 3 paragraphs, and it's the idea that the attention getter is different for every recipient.
Right.
Or every group of recipients, I should say.
So your book was published by who? The How to Make...
Square One.
Okay, and how can people get in touch with you? Let's make sure we talk about your website. How can people get what you offer? How do they get let's start with the free newsletter that you send out,
Sure.
the marketing
Everything
newsletter.
pretty much on bookmarketingworks.com.
Bookmarketingworks.com.
Yeah.
If they go there, they can get on your newsletter list?
Newsletter, information about my book, information about the catalog program, information about the Association of Publishers for Special Sales.
And what is that? Do you want to tell us what that is?
Sure, happy to.
Okay.
Thanks for asking. There was a group, a national organization called SPAN, the Small Publishers Association of North America. And they were declining in their membership, and they were looking for some way to grow that, and I told them I'd take it over. And they said, okay. I never thought they'd say yes. Wow. So I got it, and because my background is in non-bookstore marketing, I changed the name of this association. This is about 2 years ago I took it over, and about a year ago I changed the name of it from SPAN, the Small Publishers Association of North America, the Association of Publishers for Special Sales. And special sales are the non-bookstore sales. So now we don't compete against other trade associations that are for bookstores. We're totally separate now.
Right.
So our membership has been going up because people now they can join our association plus others that if they so desire. And before it was this one, or this one, and we were one of those choices. Now it's us plus one of those. So the idea is that we help our members do what we're talking about here, how to sell books to corporate buyers, to associations, to schools, to the military, to airport stores, to supermarkets, to discount stores, to warehouse clubs. We help them do that through our, we have a separate newsletter for that. We have information on the website. That's bookapps.org, bookapss.org is a site for that, but you reach that through the other site also. So My objective is to help as many people as I can sell more books, to have more fun, and be more profitable in the process. Or maybe
That
even
would
more
be nice.
profitable and have fun in the process.
Well, that's great. We're probably going to have a few minutes left, so go
Sure.
ahead. And is there anything else you wish I had asked you, or that you wish authors would just know that they're wasting their time or on certain things?
Oh yeah, I think that when I suggest selling a bookstore to non-bookstore buyers, I'm not saying to do that exclusively. It's okay to sell through bookstores, but have this what I call dual distribution, the parallel distribution. They have your bookstores, which is nice, but you don't make money off that. If you're approaching this as a business, you want to have this parallel distribution. And I always say that, that book marketing is as simple as PIE. If you look at PIE as an acronym of plan, implement, and evaluate. First, as I did, I just jumped in and starting in a bookstore, selling through bookstores, not thinking there's a different way or a better way. But if you do that preparation and planning, then you implement that and then evaluate it. Think about, did I do that? That if I'm not getting on enough TV and radio shows, maybe my letter to the host is not appropriate or not good. Maybe I should change that. Or I'm getting on a lot of shows and not selling any books. Well, maybe I need to work on my presentation skills. So that's the planning, the implementation, and the evaluation to see if your plan is working.
Well, now we have like a minute left. What do you recommend when you're on a TV show to help sell a book?
To not sell it.
So how do you mean?
In the sense that we're talking now about the information that's in my book about how this book can help people solve their problems. I'm not holding this book up, buy my book,
Please buy my book. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. You're saying this is going to help you solve your problem.
That's correct. And we're talking, this whole show is about how the people in your audience can take this information and sell more books and become more profitable. So if you can help people do that without being, I think you sell more books by not trying to sell your books.
Right.
And just by helping people in your audience solve their problems of becoming more profitable. And that's how I think how you sell more books, whether it's through TV and radio shows, whether it's direct selling to someone, or whether it's at a trade show, whatever it may be, that your objective is to help them solve their problem with the content in your book. So stop selling your books, sell what your book is about and how it can help others solve their problems. And that, I think, is a key
But what if
to
it's
book
fiction?
marketing.
Because if it's not going to really sell your
Well,
problem,
then you
if
find
it's about
then
history,
you find 800 Flowers. Then you find
Okay.
we did a show, a book about a cannon train in the Revolutionary War, taking cannons from Boston to Fort Ticonderoga, New York, and we put books in the hotel rooms in Fort Ticonderoga, bed and breakfast, and there are associations that put on reenactments of these events.
All right,
And
these are some of these tips we can get in your book, right?
Oh, sure.
Oh, well, thank you so
You're very
much
welcome,
for
Lisa.
coming on my show.
pleasure.
It was great to have you and
Thank
get
you.
these tips, and I'm glad we'll have this on YouTube so people can watch it because you covered a lot.
Sure
So
did,
thank
yeah.
you so much for joining us on the Lisa Saunders Show, and I will see you next week.